Welcome back to the Extraordinary Lovers podcast right here on sextalkradionetwork.com. My name is Michael Gibson, and in studio today I have the lovely and quite adorable Ms. Lori Handlers. Hello, Lori.
Hello, Michael.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
You are my extraordinary lover, my counterpart, my mirror. And I think that's something that we've never talked about really, is the mirror of your beloved. And it's actually a chapter in your book.
It is.
And it's one of my favorite and most challenging chapters of your book, which is called Sex and Happiness, the Tantric Laws of Intimacy. And oddly enough, we were on that call yesterday with the apprenticeship program, with the group of the apprenticeship program. And
my apprentice program, yeah,
right.
Sex and Happiness.
Sex and Happiness, which is an apprenticeship program.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you're training coaches to be able to become sex and happiness coaches, and it's an evolving and an amazing process that people are going through right now, and I'm seeing transformation in them. I'm fortunate enough to be one of the coaches,
right?
And so today.
So we talked about mirror.
We did.
Of your beloved.
Yeah.
And so why is that so challenging for you?
Well, because it in the book, it talks about all of the, I'll just say it this way, all the shit that comes up with your partner, with your beloved, is a mirror for your own shit.
Right.
And there's no lacklustering it. You could spray whipped cream on it. It's still a turd. A turd is a turd no matter what. And so when that stuff comes up and you see it in your partner,
and you want to erase it, you want it to go away.
It's offensive, like it's repellent.
Right.
You're repulsed by it, and what you're seeing is a mirror.
Well, you're seeing the disowned parts of yourself.
Yeah.
You're seeing things you don't like that you've been, when I say disowned, really, the things you don't like, things you wish you didn't have to see, things you wish you didn't have to deal with. And basically, in order for you to be so triggered by your partner, it means you've got that inside yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the part of you that needs to be cleaned up or owned, at least just owned and embraced, so that you can stop being so repulsed by it.
Well, what brought you to this this revelation or this consciousness to know that, what you're seeing in your partner really is, and what's repulsing you about your partner really is what's happening inside of you?
Boy, I don't know. I feel like it's one of the earliest things I ever learned. One of the earliest spiritual teachings that I ever learned. I don't know. I don't know where I picked it up. I think I got it really early on from Isabel Hickey, my first teacher. I think she said things like that in her Friday night meditation group that I used to go to.
And it must have resonated because maybe it was happening in your life.
I remember going, oh no. There are a few things she said that I went, oh no to. She said, after you die, when you're in the in-between state,
yeah,
you revisit all the people you've ever had sex with. And I thought, oh my God, I don't know if I can remember their names.
Would that be awful?
I just,
you walk up and you're like, oh, hey, you. Yeah, I remember you, sort of.
Yeah, Izzy said a lot of things that really rocked me back then. I mean, that was in the 70s when I was studying with her. But then I think it came up again when I was studying Tantra. I think the notion of the mirror came up again, that things that we don't like, the things we have such reaction to in other people are really a mirror of things that are inside of us that we just don't want to. When I was studying Tantra, I started to make peace with my inner terrorist.
Wow.
The me that wreaks havoc on people, the me that used to start fights with people, the me that was so angry. And that's like, I'm sure I created some terror in people in my life. So when I made love to that, when I embraced that, when I accepted that, because Tantra said, accept it all, like you embrace it all in yourself, every part of yourself, then I could stop pushing that away.
Yeah.
and stop making that really annoying if it showed up in somebody else.
Yeah. And it seems to me that you may have lost a little bit of the critical, I guess, nature of, especially when I come across something, because I feel like when I come across something that I just simply, I can't be with, that's the hard part that I have to deal with inside of me, because really I'm just a hypocrite at that point. I know it's present in me. I know that I do it. And yet here I am really coming down on another person for having that personality trait or whatever. And it's not just anybody, it's my beloved. Right. So that mirror is what opens up the awareness of a human being this is where the work of relating really comes in. Like, it's so important.
They say that partner yoga is the most difficult yoga that there is.
Mhm.
That trying to be in partnership with somebody it just brings up everything that you didn't really want to look at.
Yeah.
And so you and I are pretty evolved beings, and still there are things that come up between us that are not so easy.
And they're new to us sometimes. Well, I think most of the time when something comes up, they're new, like for the most part, right? What's interesting to me is that even though, you couldn't put your finger on it, like, where did it come from? It found its way into your book, and you articulate it so well. Like, you really say what's true. And people, I think, have the opportunity to see themselves in a new light. Like, there's an exposure here. It's not something that's hidden anymore behind a shadow or behind a curtain of some sort. Like, it's right in front of you. It's your mirror. And the cool thing about it is you can begin to operate in grace with that mirror. Your beloved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's playing the mirror in your life. You can start to operate with grace with that person. I can start to operate with grace with that person, knowing that what I see that I dislike in you, I know is in me.
Mm-hmm.
It brings an awareness to, okay, well, how do I work on me first? Or do I work on me first? Because most of the time, the ordinary thing for people to do is to lash out and attack the other for the way of being that they are.
And say it's their problem.
Mm.
You have a problem, you need to go away and fix it. Like, I just feel like this shows up so much. Like, it's very easy to say, oh, I'm lovable. This person loves me so good. But then there's the underneath thing, which is, well, if you really knew me, you wouldn't love me. Like, if you really knew all the things about me that I'm not proud of, you wouldn't love me. But see, that's what, in relationships, you can't hide that stuff. You can't hide it. It's like, that's the stuff that comes up. And the person actually really does love you in spite of all that. I mean, I'm assuming that you love me in spite of the things that you don't like.
Nah. Of course I love you. And the things that I don't like, I don't pick up on very much. There's not a lot of them, and it's interesting to me, because the challenge that I had really with it was the like being told back to me, this is who you're being, and you don't even know it. And when you see it happen in your beloved, you're all over her, but what about you?
I can think of an example. With us.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have told you that I have a history of being angry. Like, the whole world, everybody knows in my life that I've had a history of being angry.
You're an angry person, right?
I'm not, but I thought I was an angry person. I thought that was like a jail sentence.
Right.
I was convicted of being angry forever.
Right.
And so I think at some point in our relationship, I said to you, you're really angry. You are a really angry guy. Something you need to take into account.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you didn't like that. I saw your face at the time that I said it. It was almost like it was sinking. And the reason I'm not afraid of anger is because I know anger inside and out. I know it backwards and forwards. I'm not afraid of yours.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of other people's. I don't want to go there
anymore.
It used to be a turn on for me.
Really?
Anger
was a thing for you?
Yeah.
I can't believe that. Really?
Yeah.
You got turned on by anger?
Yeah. Anger was like an adrenaline rush.
I guess I could see that. Yeah.
So you got turned on by cortisol.
Cortisol is my drug of choice, apparently.
I know, but you would get in the car and get angry at every other driver that was on the road.
And I would complain and bitch and moan and be
And I would be like,
dirty looks at people and everything.
cortisol. So I had to confront that in you. You know, you have some anger issues, and you weren't that happy when I said that to you.
No, it wasn't.
But I think you're talking about things that we didn't say,
right.
Things that you just see.
Well, there is always the unsaid, right? There are times, in fact, sometimes you and I will sit down and go, okay, what's not being said here? Like, let's just check in. What's not being said here?
Right.
And those are really powerful moments. The idea that you see anger in me and know that you have anger in you, or that anger has possessed you at
Possessed
times,
me.
right?
Possessed.
I wonder if anybody can like relate to that.
I was totally possessed.
And yet, when you saw it in me, you made the comment, right, knowing that, hey, I can relate to this, because when you said it to me, you really made it clear. Look, I can relate to this. I had anger. I know what it's like. I see it in you. We need to deal with it. You need to deal with it, right? That's very different. Like, that's a different thing than an awareness coming back at you going, oh shit, you know? So when I said it was a challenge for me, this particular chapter, I meant that it was a challenge because of what I saw in myself. I'm going through life and I have a perfect perspective. My perspective is this. And then all of a sudden somebody puts a mirror up in front of you and goes, here's what we see. And you're going, oh shit, now that's a challenge. Correct. And I think that a lot of couples find themselves in the spiral of this, not really getting clear or close to the truth, because they're not looking at the mirror as a mirror.
Right. They're putting whatever it is, the disowned part, on the other.
Right.
They're saying, you know, you're so this, and you always this, and you never this. They talk in terms of absolutes.
It sounds like the always never fight.
It is the always never fight, which there's no win to that.
There's no win to that. No.
If you're in the always never game,
yeah,
it's really,
and it's ordinary. It's really,
there's no win. No one's going to win that game. There's no points there. There's no cheese down that tunnel.
No cheese down that tunnel.
So that's the blame game.
Right.
And that doesn't work.
It feels awful. It really does. I wonder if people know, or I wonder if people are aware that once you discover this, there's access to something. Can you share what the access is? And we've talked a little bit about it, but there's a deeper access too.
Well, there's access to see why you attracted this person to yourself. They are there for your growth and development. They're there to love you past your limitations.
Right.
And the only way it works is if you let that in. It doesn't work if you stay in denial about it and keep putting it out there on them. Yeah. It just doesn't work. What's the point of being in a relationship anyway?
Yeah.
I mean, being loved means that you can allow love in, and those parts of yourself that you've been hiding and hoping nobody would see, those too deserve love. And so the only way out of it is in.
Now, by the way, if you're taking notes, I would highlight this part right here that Lori just said, which is, you know, you have access, right, to love. I mean, you have access to love. It's a whole different world of being.
Yeah. Can you allow yourself to be loved despite what you think that you're unlovable? Who doesn't think they're unlovable? Everyone. It's so common. Everyone thinks that because something very early happened to all of us. There was an incident that happened to all of us that made us feel like something was wrong with our world.
Yeah.
Either we weren't lovable because something happened with our parents, something happened that's a secret that we had to hide. Some trauma happened. One of the parents left. You went to a foster home, you know, like whatever the thing is, like something. In your case, you went to a foster home. In my case, my father poured orange juice on my head. And although it sounds very funny now, to a 3.5, year old little girl,
It was the
it,
big
it,
thing.
it was traumatic.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to everybody else who's listening. I don't know what happened in everyone else's life. But what I do know is everybody has a sentence inside them that says they're not lovable, or they're too much, or they're not enough. Like they all go hand in hand.
Right.
If you really knew me, I'd be too much to handle. If you really knew me, you'd know that I was deplete. I'm not enough. If you really knew me, you wouldn't love me because my father didn't love me. I'm unlovable.
Right.
Your mother didn't love you. You're unlovable. So we have this thing that's lurking inside, ready to jump all the time. And then someone loves us and we go, what if they find this out?
It doesn't match my belief system or something, right?
Right. If you really knew me, you'd see I was too much, not enough, unlovable, something. Because I was so unlovable that my mother or father did this, or my parents did this, or my sister or brother did this, or the world did this.
Right. And it's almost like you're protecting that person from yourself, that you're not lovable, that you're not enough, you're not any of those things.
Right.
But what's happening in relationship and how it looks in relationship is you're withholding part of yourself. And it's really the part of the self that needs love and deserves love. Right. That's the part of the self that once you open that up and allow that into the relating with your beloved, you then have, again, access to true love. And it feels amazing. It feels supportive. It feels connective, right? It opens you.
Yeah. You find out that you're lovable, that you have permission for that much love. And it's beyond anything that your little self could ever imagine. I'm just sitting here wondering what the COVID babies are going to feel. You know, I know of a lot of babies that were just born.
Yeah.
During this COVID-19 period, and where the parents had to wear masks and all kinds of things, where people were socially distanced so the rest of the family couldn't meet them. There's a lot of little babies that got born just now that I wonder what their sentence is going to be.
Yeah. What is what's their conversation going to be about themselves?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was born in the wrong time, something like that, they're going to say.
Yeah.
And
and the scary thing is that, when you listen to the experts, right? The experts being, Phil Levine, I think his name is, or what's Peter Levine, or Gabor Mate. They will tell you that a child that does not have an embrace or touch will literally die. It's
well, yeah, that's been known for a really long time.
As
you have
human
to have
beings,
bonding and patterning.
We need that. Yeah, we absolutely need that. So yeah, I fear for what this next generation is going to look like, not having the kind of love and touch and care.
Extended family,
right? And
ability to meet friends and uncles and aunts and everybody else. Although those people also could be predators.
Right. Yeah.
But so we won't go there right now.
Right. Yeah. Well, and again, the topic, so that we don't end up in a COVID conversation, the topic really comes down to, when we're talking about relationships, where you and I are really big on, let's start with you. Like, where does it all begin anyway? Every relationship you're in,
there you are.
You are right there. So these are the things that I think really light up a person's life, or can cause the shadow to show up, and it feels very dark and heavy. It feels very dense. And then when you bring that out of that shadow or out of that darkness, it can actually lighten you. And so that's what we're advocating for. So when you hear something like this, you're thinking, oh yeah, well, it's in my partner, and we're talking about it being in you. There is a part of the work that needs to be done inside of you. And it's not that tough, right? It's not that difficult. And a book like Sex and Happiness is perfect for that kind of transformation.
Yeah, it's for beginners who haven't looked maybe at all. It's for intermediates who have looked some, and it's for advanced people who want to take these things on as practices and get them in their life, so that their life is what you would call shamanic. Like, their life has elements of, these are my practices. This is what I do to keep myself healthy. This is what I do to be in a healthy and right relationship. This is what I do to be in right livelihood.
And what makes it extraordinary is that it's unusual. It's
Yeah,
not the norm.
most people just fly by the seat of their pants.
Yeah, they get up in the morning, grab a cup of coffee, do the wash, do whatever they do, hop in a car. They used to hop in a car, now they turn on the computer. They would go to work, come back home, do the same thing every single day, right? And
With no thought.
what we're advocating for is changing that up such that you begin to bring some of what we call this sacred living, like really being a part of your own life and presence, and having a presence about your life. So adding some rituals that you might put in there that really do take care of, your body in some way. You used a term which is really interesting in your book, and that is the tantric laws of intimacy. And so what makes these laws tantric?
It's really bringing your presence, bringing your whole self, bringing breath, sound, and movement to everything. So it's bringing an awareness that what I do in the world and what I say in the world makes a difference. And it's not, my world doesn't begin and end with just me.
Yeah.
That whatever I do, whatever I touch, whatever I say, whoever I interact with, I make a difference to. Haven't you ever had the experience where somebody says, you said something to me 10 years ago and I never forgot it? And you're going like, what? What did I say to this person?
What could I have possibly said 10 years ago that would have been?
Yeah, I don't even remember this person, and they're writing me and telling me that I said this thing to them.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that experience, more than I can count in my life, where people have said to me, we were sitting in a bar on Capitol Hill, and that night you said this. And I'm just like, I don't even remember the bar on Capitol Hill,
Is there a bar on Capitol Hill?
Yeah, there are plenty of bars on Capitol
Maybe
Hill.
They made it up.
No, I'm just saying, people have said to me, you said this, and I'll always remember that you said this to me, and that changed everything. So I think that the tantric laws of intimacy mean, one, I'm using my whole self. There's no part of me that's not included. My body is just as important as my mind. What comes out of my mouth is holistic. It comes from the bottom and the top, and then it comes out of my mind, and I'm present. I've used breath, sound, and awareness breath, sound, and movement all day to be present.
Yeah.
To my body. I'll shake, I'll do emotional release, I'll do whatever I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the tantric laws of intimacy because they involve making a commitment to be present and to get present through breath, sound, and movement. And I mean, when I was learning Tantra, people weren't having safer sex conversations. People weren't having, they might have been learning ancient skills, but they weren't having the conversations that were so important in the world. And so I gave it the laws. People were angry and they weren't dealing with it. They weren't even saying that they were angry. They were hating that the teacher was saying, do emotional release. They didn't get it. I got it because I was angry. So it was like, yeah, this is a gift. And I went, I can't be the only one. There have to be these laws that kind of give a path to it. So that's why I wrote it. I wrote it because the laws evolved for me as I was teaching Tantra. I started to see what was missing, and certain things were not being spoken about to make. I don't know if it was to make me happy to my standards. I have very high standards about how people should interact, the way truth should be told, the way, I had to contend with the fact that I was in a relationship then where my partner wasn't speaking the truth to me. So was that on him or was that on me? Was I a space to hear the truth? Want to talk about mirror? Was I a space to hear the truth, or was he just somebody who was incorrigible? He was never going to tell the truth.
Right.
A little of both.
Yeah.
So I had to write about that. I had to write about that. There has to be a space where you could just empty out and speak your truth. Now, you got to take the anger energy off of it,
Right.
or the victim energy off of it, or the sadness energy off of it, or whatever it is. You can't put that on the other person.
You need to take the edge off the blade.
Exactly. So that's where emotional release
Yeah.
comes in. But then you have to speak your truth. You have to say, this is what's true for me, whether you like it or not.
Well, this is an amazing book. It has definitely disrupted my life, which was a promise you made to me when we first partnered up and became lovers. And you've kept your word. You are definitely someone who disrupts your life. And I love your mind. I love how brilliant you are. And this book has made a difference in so many people's lives. It is not only a book, but it has now become a journey. There are 10 chapters. And so you now have a 10-week journey that people can come to and actually really consume the book in a way that turns it into a lifestyle.
That's right.
And it's amazing.
And practices that you do that, and then you wake up and go, wow, why isn't everyone doing this?
Right.
Like, the world would be such an easier place to navigate if everybody had these laws and they made them into practices in their life. They would find a little taste of shamanism.
There it is.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of shamanism, right?
I wasn't even familiar with that when I wrote the book.
Well, good enough, because it has an element of shamanism in it. It is about practice. It's called the Tantric laws of intimacy for a reason, because there are practices that are involved. And I wanted to say a little bit more about the programs that you've created out of this book. One being the Sex and Happiness Journeys that you have put forth, and they're amazing. People are coming back with, just incredible testimonies talking about what it has done to change their lives. And it's a lot of fun. And you can actually, we'll make sure that we give everybody the link. It'll be inside of the podcast.
People are saying that these are the things we should have learned in junior high. We should have learned how to navigate this.
Why was I learning trigonometry and calculus and all this other stuff? I should have been learning this.
Right. Yeah. Chemistry, whatever. We should have been learning this. And that's one thing they're saying. People are saying that they're learning self-love and acceptance from this. They're telling people that not to live without it. I mean, they're saying such intense things about it.
Yeah.
They're saying that they learned to speak their truth. They're saying that they learned how important confrontation is. They're saying that they learned how important it was to discover their own self-pleasure, like what turns them on, and be able to communicate that to a partner. There's so much to it.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited by what's coming next, which we've got a lot coming next, and you'll hear about this in the weeks to come. But Extraordinary Lovers is a direct product of living a life through the Tantric laws of intimacy.
So it's a baby.
It's the baby of,
Extraordinary Lovers is the baby of Sex and Happiness.
Absolutely. So
isn't that a great baby?
Yeah, it is. We came together, and you had been living this for many, many years. Since having written it and before. And then I got a hold of the book and I just fell in love with it, and I began to do the practices, and I still do today.
I know.
And because of that, you and I have this extraordinary love, and people really are blown away when they see us get on a call together, and how we flow together, and how much we love each other. And we can't keep our hands off each other. And that's fun. And, but the Extraordinary Lovers, part of this, or the programs that I put together, have really clearly been influenced by the book Sex and Happiness.
This is the foundation.
Certainly. And you've come up with another book. Now, we don't want to go too far, but there's another one coming.
There's another book coming, Sex and Happiness After 60.
Yeah, which is very exciting. And
in which I claim that it gets better.
It gets better.
Yes. Sex gets better and happiness gets better.
So that's something to look for in the near future. And really, this has been a great time. Thank you, Lori, for being on the podcast with me again. I love it when you're here.
Thank you.
You're so adorable.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That feels really good. It melts me.
Well, and to everybody else, we look forward to seeing you next week on the podcast, and we're going to have another amazing guest. So look forward to seeing you then. Again, this is Michael Gibson, Lori Handlers for Extraordinary Lovers Podcast here on sextalkradionetwork.com. See you next week.
Bye.